Thank you for joining us for the November Sunflower State Small Library Series. I'm Dan Alexander from Northeast Kansas Library System, and we're meeting today to learn more about the Seneca Free Library. So our guest here today is Kate Haynie. She's the Public Library Director for that library. Kate, would you kick us off and do some introductions?
All right, my name is Kate Haynie. I live here in Seneca, Kansas. I have always been a lover of reading. I was a little girl. My mom had a beauty shop and the library was right next door. So I spent hours in there. Reading was modeled to me by my dad. He and I always had books in our hands. So when I ended up here, the natural thing to do was come to the library. I brought my kids to the library and I ended up on the library board when we built this building. And then I worked as a story time person until I became the director in 2012. So that's my story.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't even know half of that at least. I've been working with Seneca since 2011, since right before Kate became the director. So our next question that we're going to just jump into is to learn a little bit more about your community. It's Anna and I just visited Seneca about 2 weeks ago. It is awfully darling. Why don't you tell us more about your city?
It is darling. Seneca is the county seat. We have a population of just under 2,000. We have a nationally recognized 18-hole golf course. So all of you into golf, you need to come check it out when the weather's better, of course. We have great schools, a great hospital and medical facility. We have a historic Main Street. We're in a Main Street program, and it's an award-winning program. The chamber has been very active in getting grants to keep things alive and prospering on Main Street. This horse fountain that you see was given to the city, and it used to sit right in the middle of an intersection, which was great when you had horses only. But when automobile traffic came along, it was a hazard. So they moved it, they hid it away for a long time, and then it was in the city park, and there was a big push to get it moved to Main Street. And it was after I joined the Chamber of Commerce, we started working with a group, and we finally got the fountain moved back to Main Street. It's been restored. There are bronze plaques that have been duplicated, and the light on top was specially made, so it isn't a replica of what was on it originally. And the fountain runs in good weather, and the light is on every night. And it's really great to have it back on Main Street, just not in the middle of an intersection.
Yeah, that seems like poor placement these days.
Yeah.
Could you just tell folks like how long your strip is and just kind of the aesthetics of it? I think that's what kind of stands out to me when I visit.
How long what is?
How long the main strip is, and like how many businesses in general you have operating, do you think? I mean, these are kind of estimates, I assume.
There are basically 4 blocks that make up the Main Street, and most of them are most of the buildings are full right now, which is good. We do have a theater, a twin theater on Main Street. We have several banks. We do have a variety store that is also a quilt shop. It's incredible, the business that's alive on Main Street. We had a great store that closed, and someone has purchased it and will open back up after Christmas, and we're really excited to have another retail store. So it's a booming business on Main Street. Fun places to eat, great places to get coffee, and the bakery is wonderful, and the bar has the best cheeseburgers in Nemaha County.
Wow. Okay.
Right, Anna?
Well,
that's Shelley that knows about the cheeseburgers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Shelley from O'Brien, from also a Nichols consultant. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you describe how your library operates? We're kind of talking about the general idea of hours, staffing, that kind of thing. Board.
All right. Monday through Thursday, we're open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, we're here 10 to 5, and Saturday, we're here 9 to 1. We do have 4 staff members. I'm the only full-time, and we have 2 housekeepers, and they do an excellent job. We are a city-funded library, obviously, and we have a board with the mayor is a member of our board. We have a very active and forward-thinking board right now. This is the best board that I've worked with since I've been here. I'm not just saying that because they're going to watch this. This really is a great board, and I would like it if none of them ever leave, but I know Kansas statutes won't allow that. It's a really good board. We're functioning really well, and that's good because you don't always hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure they will enjoy hearing that, how well appreciated they are. So next, I'm going to hit some slides forward, folks. If you have any questions about what you see, because we might not talk about every photo you see during the time. So let's go ahead and ask the next question. What can you share about the library space that you inhabit?
Sure. This building was finished in 1996, and we moved in January of 97. It's about 6,700 square feet. We were in the one slide behind the maple tree, you can see an old stone church. It was built in 1868, and it served as the city's library from the early 30s until we moved into this building. Obviously, there was not much room in there. It was very crowded, not at all compliant to ADA. So we needed to do something. And we got this building, which is really incredible. The church now serves as our community room. And it's a super space for that because it's connected to the library and has restrooms, and the staff at Nichols has done an outstanding job of making sure we have Wi-Fi over there. So it's it's a very serviceable building. The stained glass window in the middle, the whole building has the original stained glass windows that were put in 1905, and I think it was in 2017. We did a restoration project. They were all taken out, taken completely apart, re-leaded, put back together, cleaned up, shored up, and they are gorgeous. The sun comes through, they're just amazing. This is one of the oldest buildings in town, so we're really proud of it, and we're glad to keep it in shape. We do have, well, you can see the computer area when you walk in the door. We rearranged when we got new carpet during COVID and opened a space up so it's really more user-friendly. And just before that, we redid our workroom, and we actually were able to carve out space for staff to have their very own restroom. And I don't know how many of you have that, but that's like the best thing ever. When the contractors told us, oh yeah, we can do that, we were like, yes. I don't care what anybody else says, we're having a bathroom.
And that's kind of, as Kate said, back behind in the workroom. So they have kind of a nice separate space that goes off of. And I don't really have any great pictures of how that looks, but that comes off of the director's office, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
So the director's office kind of looks out onto the circulation desk.
Right.
Right, there we go. You can kind of see it on the upper right picture.
Yeah, right.
That's where Kate kind of looks over her flock and
my kingdom. Yes.
Her kingdom.
Yeah, some days I feel like it's my kingdom, and some days I feel like it's my circus, but we've all been there. Yeah. So
the upper left picture then shows some more stained glass that's in the more modern part of the building. So those, I assume, are not as old as the stained glass that we looked at earlier.
That was put in when we built the building, and actually one of our patrons, a very artistic woman, made that window for us. So that's kind of cool to know that that was actually done by one of our patrons. We always have that we can always think about her when we look at it. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
I know one thing you wanted to point out, because you did do work on this. If you look at that upper right picture, it used to be the computers kind of took up a big island of space, and
Yes,
you
where the red chairs
changed.
are.
Yeah.
And when you walked in, that's what you saw. You just saw this big brown blob, and it was not user friendly at all. So we took that completely apart and moved the computer desks so they're in the window. They follow that curve. And it just really opened up that space. And now the space says, hey, come in and sit down, stay a while with us. And that's what we wanted.
Mhm.
So we do. And the table in between the red chairs now has the USB and a charging station, which, you know, everybody needs that now. But it's great to look out there and see people just hanging out, reading magazines, charging their phones, doing whatever they do on their devices. So it's great.
It is a very inviting space, and it doesn't seem cluttered, which I love about it. You do have like marketing materials up, but it seems that you've done a really good job of kind of, I don't know, creating everything kind of zoned. And it doesn't scream like too much. It
Well,
seems
thank you.
easy to navigate. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I
It's
enjoyed seeing some of the other marketing materials we've put out, kind of put out in a nice way.
it's one of those things that cost no money. Well, the carpet cost money, but it cost $0, but had a huge impact. You know, and I think if you can figure out a way to rearrange your library, and yes, moving stacks is a pain, an absolute pain, but it's definitely worth it to do things like that. And again, $0 involved in moving furniture.
Anything you want to talk about just these children's section before we move on to our next question? We didn't really talk much about that. That's on the bottom pictures of
We did.
this slide,
We
and then
moved
also
stacks
here.
there too.
Mhm.
When you used to walk in behind that gazebo, the stacks actually went the other way, and they created a barrier. When you walked in, you just saw this wall. And so many people told us they didn't even realize there was anything beyond that. So we changed the layout of the stacks, and it opened that up. So parents could be on this end where the, you know, the toddler books are, the board books, that kind of stuff. And their older kids could be at the other end of the library checking out their own easy readers and chapter books, and parents can still see what's going on. And it just opened up that space, and it made it feel so much more inviting. It also made it look bigger. I mean, it's the same space, but just a different layout.
Yeah.
So a huge impact for, you know, and we actually had somebody in the community that has a CAD program. They came in and took measurements, and they drew a layout to make sure this was going to work before we did it. They didn't charge us for that. They just did it for free because it was fun for them to do. So, you know, who do you know in your community that can help you do that? Find out.
Good pointer. All right, let's move on to the next question. And if I haven't said it before, feel free to put questions in the chat about any pictures you see, if you want us to go into more detail. But otherwise, we can probably at about halfway through now, see if there's any questions at the end. So the next question is, would you tell us about a music garden? I think yours was the first one I had seen at a library.
Okay. And you do have a slide with it.
I do. There we go. I just wanted to reveal it.
In 2018, when we had music as the theme, I ran across these, just, you know, Googling something, and I saw these on, this is really cool. Then I looked at the price and went, well, we're never going to do that. And I happened to be on a committee with some chamber members. I shared my idea with the chamber director, told her what it cost. She's like, wow, we can't do that in town. But she said, hey, tell this idea to Nancy. So I tell Nancy. Nancy looked at me and she goes, Kate, there's money out there. Let's do this. And she just starts rattling off all these places where we could get money. I had no idea. And before we knew it, we had $5,000. It's like, we're going to do this. So we had a fundraiser, and we got that grant for $5,000. And we had donations. We met the goal. And then we had a charitable organization in town that wanted to be part of it, and they purchased the drums. So it's a $15,000 project that the library put $500 into. That's it. We paid for the concrete. That's all we had to do. There's only one downside to it. We can't see it from the library. It's on the other side of the building. So we can't hear it, we can't see it, but we know people are out there playing. We see all ages of people out there too. Adults are out there, toddlers, parents and grandchildren. I don't know, it's great. And it's held up really, really well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, how you felt, because it's been in for a few years now.
Yeah, well, we had the factory where they make these, ours was loaded up, shipped and ready to go. And the factory burned down on the July 4th weekend. So they had to start over. So we didn't actually get it until the next summer, but it's been in since 19. So it's holding up well though.
Good. Any thoughts on any changes you want to add to that? Or, how you might make it so that you can see how patrons use it more often, use it for programming, anything like that?
I don't know if we would ever use it for programming, but on Kansas Day, our Chamber of Commerce director has actually got the music for Home on the Range and put out there so people can play it. And she lets people know that it's out there. And we've had some other instances like that where there's a special song that we'll find the music for and we'll put it by the xylophone and let people know, hey, you can play this while you're out there. It's kind of fun. If we would have had any idea that it would have gone over so well and that we would have been able to raise money so easily, we probably would have made it bigger. But at the start, we're like, oh, this is a lot of money. We better just be careful. We should have just gone for broke. Go for it. But one thing I would say is, I think sometimes we all have ideas and we don't share them. And just by verbalizing this, I was able to connect with somebody who connected us with a whole lot of money. So I think you need to share your ideas, and not just with the people you work with, share them with people outside of the library, because you don't know what could happen.
And that's a really good segue into our next question. You didn't plan that, did you?
I did not.
So we decided that you might tell us a little bit about the Nemaha County, is it the STEP Foundation? And
yes,
you got some matches from that program. Can you just explain a little bit about what that was, how it worked?
Okay. The STEP Foundation is a community foundation that has been in existence for, I'm going to say 20 years. It's been quite a while. Striving to Ensure Progress is the acronym. And we've applied for grants before, and we've gotten grants to pay for copy machines and scanners, different things like that. And I know they've given money to libraries in the county. So not just us, it's a countywide foundation. We are a member, we pay membership. I think our membership is $60 a year, but it's worth it to be part of this. Last year was they had match day and they held it here. We didn't participate. This year we decided to participate in match day. And so to do that, you have to put funds into the STEP Foundation, which we did. And we set up a fund to do some restoration work on our old stone church. There's some work that needs to be done on the bell tower, and we designated that. So on match day, people donate and the STEP Foundation will match those funds up to a certain dollar amount. And this year we received $2,100 with their match and people's donations. So it is wonderful to be able to have that kind of a resource.
Yeah, that does sound great. Let's keep moving along because we have a few more questions.
Okay.
So talk to us about organizations, like professional organizations. And so I had listed ARSL, KLA, or any other things that you might be involved with, because I do know you do take time to kind of step outside of the library and outside of Nemaha. What's going on there?
So I am a member of KLA, which I think we all should be. There are so many resources there, and it's, you don't have to do anything. You can just be a member and take advantage of the resources. I became a member of ARSL, which is the Association for Rural and Small Libraries, a couple years ago. They also have a listserv, and it is amazing that people in Rhode Island and Vermont have the same problems we have in Kansas, but they have different solutions. So it's, it's great to be part of that listserv and get different opinions and different ideas. Just another group of people that you can relate to. In 2022, I served as a volunteer on a regional focus group for the Midwest region. I don't know that they filled that yet. They did have a big push for volunteers. So if you're interested in being in part of that, just go to the ARSL website and see what you might be able to do. There were a lot of interesting conversations. And again, it's interesting that some of the problems that we have are nothing like they have in other states. And yet again, it's some of the same issues, and being able just to talk about them and share resources has been really good. Last year, I also volunteered to serve on the CSLP committee, the vendor committee. That is the manual that we get for summer reading, and the vendor committee is the group that we decide all the stuff that goes in the manual, that the stuff like the Oriental trading stuff and t-shirts and things like that. We work on getting those things together. It was interesting, and I volunteered to do it again. We'll see what happens this year. I'd never done anything like that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the process of how any of that worked. So it was fun to learn that and, talk to the people who put it together and who have spent years and hours doing that.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. You see those names, and if you see any of those people in that front of that manual, you got to thank those people, because they really do put a lot of time and heart and soul into it.
Those are really good ideas about expanding the network. And on that note, thank you for volunteering for all these different things that you're going above and beyond, but need to happen to keep these programs going. I want to talk about your outreach to high schoolers, and with the thought we have talk about this, maybe a couple more things in the next less than 10 minutes. But what can you tell us about that program, what you learned about this outreach, where it's at now?
Our high school currently does not have a library, which is something that's happening in far too many schools across the country, not just high schools, but elementary schools too. So I reached out last school year, and the library here provided access to our catalog and all of our digital resources to all the students. And I went up to the school. I went up very often, like a couple times a week even. I would take things up there and pick up things, make sure that everybody had library cards, make sure everybody knows how to use all of our online resources, has access to everything, and to the state library too. And one thing I learned is there's a reason I don't teach school, but I've also learned that teenagers are overlooked, undervalued as citizens, and they need us as much as we need them. And it's not easy working with teens, but when you have teens who want something that you have to give it to them in any way that you can. And we started 2 programs at the school. The first one was a 100 books before graduation. The goal is to read 25 books during the school year. And if something is assigned in a literature class, that counts. The big push is to get them to read outside of class. And obviously these are kids who they read anyway. We have 10 kids enrolled in that program. We have one she'll get a scholarship from us. There's no doubt in my mind. We're hoping for some others too. The other program that we have is a book club. And we started reading in January, and once a month, I went up to the school and we'd sit around and have coffee before school and donuts or whatever and talk about the books. And these kids think that's just great. It's like, hey, somebody's paying attention to us, and these are kids who aren't in athletics. They don't do other things, but they like to read. So it's great. We continued it through the summer too. And we had a lot of fun with that. And we are doing that this fall. Both programs are going on this fall. The whole high school outreach thing is, there are problems with it that I shouldn't mention here. You don't need to hear my opinions on that, but we've also reached out to the grade school, and Nichols actually awarded our grade school grant this fall so they could purchase some more books. So that was a great way to hook those two up. So
Yeah,
I'm
let's
glad whatever you can do, if your teenagers want it, get it to them. Figure out how.
it's a hard group
It is.
to get to. All right, so talk about a little bit more about programming here in the last few minutes, and then we'll wrap up about those partnerships. But here
Okay.
we've got a couple of slides. Just talk about what's popular, what you offer.
Yeah, it's
Major-
really handy that my daughter is the high school art teacher and she's willing to come and do art programs in the summertime. Not everybody's going to have that, but you can find somebody to work with kids. We have the 1,000 books before kindergarten here. We have 2 book clubs. We did cooking with kids in the spring, and I want to get back to that. That was a blast, an absolute blast. And we had a craft swap that worked out really cool. We want to go do that again. We have quilt classes here. We have a biweekly newspaper column that we write. It's kind of hard to keep up with sometimes, but it gets information out there. And we have some followers who we know they finally admitted to reading it from the beginning, and they look forward to it. We're like, yes.
Yeah.
But you just have to try new things. And if something doesn't work, don't take it personally. That gets you nowhere. Try something else. And you got to be brave, just try it. Do it.
Yeah, and that's how you were with this program too. I didn't talk about how Kate was so nice to volunteer to be on this program, and so that's my suggestion to any of you here listening to the recording or listening live, that you might reach out to me and say that you'd be willing to talk about your library, and we'll have it recorded. Like Kate, you can share it with your board so that they can hear kind of the inside scoop about what you're doing. Our last month's director decided to share it with her patrons, so it gives you an opportunity to practice your elevator speech. And so I will wrap this up with, what kind of partnerships do you have in your community or beyond, Kate, and why is that important?
We have a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, partnership with the schools, our local variety store that we work with on their quilt programs. Our rec director has just started having the senior citizens come in the afternoons for coffee and conversation, and they've been playing cards. I think some wild stuff is happening over there. And we also work with our local food pantry. I think partnerships are what is going to keep libraries alive. If you are not building partnerships with somebody in your community, you might as well shut the doors. And that may sound really harsh, but I think it's the truth for the future. I think the best partnership that we have had is with the chamber. I'm on the executive board. You don't have to do that. Just be a member of the chamber so you know what's going on. But through the chamber, our community room has seen double, almost triple the use just because of those connections. They have the exposure that we have with them, the different things. We got involved with Spooktacular and a lot of different things in the community just because of that relationship with the chamber. This mural is part of a chamber project. It's a beautification in Seneca project, and my daughter and I have been painting on this mural. It is a labor of love, and I'm so ready for it to be over. But it's been really great, but this would not be happening if I didn't have the connection with the chamber. I just think it's important to find out, and you can define partnership any way you want to. I don't need to define it for you. Dan doesn't need to define it. Whatever works for you, but find somebody outside of your building to work with and to do something with. Invite them in. I can't stress how important it is.
That seems like a really, really good word of advice. And so we're finishing up here today. Thank you all for being here. And I want to leave or give you an opportunity, if you did have any questions, if you wanted to learn more about a program that was mentioned, Go ahead and ask now or put it in chat. Kate, do you mind if people have your email address?
That's
So that if
fine.
they, okay, let's go ahead and I'll put that into chat.
You can
It's
also
highly,
follow the library on Facebook. That's
oh,
great too, you
that's a
know,
good idea.
Instagram, both of those.
Yeah. I'm looking up because, oh, it's Seneca Free Library. I always forget what our domains are for all of our different libraries. So I will put her address in there. I'm also going to put in my email address in the chat in case you wanted to be brave like Kate and volunteer to have your library.
Just
Be
do
a
it.
guest. Just do
Just
it.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Kate,
Hey, it's free advertising. Here
free
we're talking about
advertising.
our libraries here, you know.
Yeah. And as
It's
Kate said,
painless.
she suggested I just put all of the library's names in a hat and then grab it, and then then you're all on the hook, and I don't relent until you're a guest. So
Yeah,
thanks
see,
again.
and I don't have to worry about that because I've already done
You're
it.
done.
You can't draw my name.
You're done. We have to go through a lot of libraries before you're done again.
Yeah.
All right, thanks folks for listening. We appreciate having some people to tell this story to, and have a great week.
Hey, you too.
Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.